The lights were bright. The gowns were golden. Fans screamed their names in the streets, waiting for hours just to catch a glimpse. Cameras flashed like lightning every single night, capturing smiles that seemed to promise perfection. But behind the velvet curtain, something rotten was hiding, festering in the dark corners nobody wanted to look at. These were not just actors. Some were dangerous. Some hurt the people who trusted them most, the people closest to them, the people who had no power to fight back. Studios paid huge amounts of money to bury the truth deep underground, deeper than any grave. Newspapers were silenced with envelopes full of cash slipped across dinner tables. Careers were saved with lies, threats, and quiet payoffs in dark hotel rooms where nobody kept records. Tonight we opened 25 sealed files nobody wanted opened. 25 stars. 25 dark secrets. The world called them legends. History called them something else entirely. We are about to show you why some of them should have gone to prison forever, and why the truth was buried instead. Number 25. Wallace Beery. He was a big, smiling star with a farmer's face and a gentle laugh for the cameras. The kind of man audiences instinctively trusted, but whispers followed him for decades like a shadow that refused to fade. Old friends said Beery got into a violent physical fight with Rudolph Valentino right before Valentino's tragic and sudden end shocked the world. No solid proof exists today, no documents, no confessions, nothing but rumor passed quietly from mouth to mouth. But insiders swore it was true, swore they knew something the public never did. A punch in a dark hallway, thrown in anger. A secret kept for 50 long years, guarded by silence. A death that shocked the entire world just days later, leaving fans crying in the streets outside the funeral home, never knowing what really happened behind closed doors. Number 24. Bing Crosby. He sang gentle songs about peace on earth and joy for all mankind, his voice filling living rooms with comfort every Christmas season. Radios everywhere played his warm, soothing tone, a voice millions trusted like an old friend. At home, it was very different, a completely separate reality hidden from the public. His own son grew up and wrote a painful, detailed book about it later, unable to stay silent any longer. He described harsh beltings behind locked doors, punishments that left lasting marks. He described real fear every time his father's footsteps came down the hallway at night, a fear that never really left him even as an adult. The perfect father on screen was, behind closed doors, a man his own children dreaded and feared more than anyone else in their lives. Number 23. Rory Calhoun. Before the cowboy hats and glowing movie posters, before the fan letters and the studio contracts, there was a dark and dirty prison cell waiting for him. As a teenager, Calhoun robbed people at gunpoint on lonely roads, threatening strangers for money he desperately needed. He was caught, tried, and convicted like a common criminal, stripped of any innocence long before Hollywood ever noticed his face. He served hard time behind thick iron bars for years, learning lessons no young man should have to learn. Hollywood publicists buried the file so deep nobody could find it, rewriting his entire backstory for the public. Fans cheering for their cowboy hero never knew he once held a loaded gun to a stranger's trembling chest, never imagined the darkness hiding behind that charming smile. Number 22. Barbara Payton. She was once a rising star with a face made for magazine covers, a woman studios groomed for lasting stardom and endless headlines. Then everything collapsed into ruin, faster than anyone predicted. Police arrested her again and again for violent public fights on dirty street corners, incidents that grew more embarrassing each time. She hit people in fits of rage. She was hit back, hard, leaving bruises that photographers eagerly captured. The bright glamour of Hollywood slowly faded into ugly bruises, cheap motels, and mugshots splashed across the front page for everyone to see. A tragic fall that few could look away from. Number 21. Lionel Atwill. His horror movies scared audiences in dark theaters everywhere. His sinister on-screen presence perfectly suited to villains and madmen. His private parties, however, scared the law even more than any monster movie ever could. Police raided his elegant home late one night, uncovering things nobody expected. What they found inside led straight to a perjury trial in open court, a public humiliation he never recovered from. Atwill lied under oath to protect the shocking secrets of his powerful guests, choosing loyalty over honesty. The scandal ended his career overnight, turning him from a respected star into a whispered warning passed around dinner tables. Number 20. John Gilbert on set. He was a walking explosion, waiting to happen, unpredictable and impossible to read. Crew members feared his sudden, violent temper more than the director himself, more than any executive on the lot. Reports say he physically attacked people who upset him, throwing hard punches between filming takes without warning. Directors learned to walk carefully around him, like he was a live bomb, ready to go off at any small mistake, any wrong word, any careless glance. Number 19. Ward Bond. During Hollywood's darkest political years, when fear ruled every studio lot, Bond helped blacklist his own close friends without blinking, without hesitation. He threatened careers with a single phone call, ending livelihoods in minutes. Some say he threatened their safety too, whispering dark warnings in quiet parking lots where nobody else could hear. Grown men, decades later, wept describing how Bond's cold words destroyed their entire lives forever, taking food from their children's tables and stripping away everything they had built. Number 18. Bela Lugosi, the man who played Dracula, fought real demons long after the cape came off and the cameras stopped rolling. Police arrested him late in his life for forging prescriptions to feed a growing, desperate addiction that had consumed him. The king of horror, once feared and adored by millions, ended up in cold handcuffs, shaking badly, begging quietly for help that nobody around him seemed willing to give, abandoned by the very industry that had once celebrated him. Number 17. Mickey Rooney. He was America's sweetheart. Small and full of energy on screen, a face audiences had loved since childhood. Then came the terrible crash on a dark road that changed everything. Rooney was driving recklessly when his car slammed into another vehicle with tremendous force. A young man died instantly at the scene. His life ended in a single violent moment. Rooney walked away with barely a scratch, physically untouched by the tragedy he caused. The courts eventually cleared him completely, closing the case for good. The dead man's grieving family never received real peace or justice, left only with headlines and silence. Number 16. Mae West. Before Hollywood ever called her name, before the fame and the fortune, she wrote and starred in a scandalous play called Sex, daring audiences to watch something forbidden. Police stormed the theater and arrested her right there on stage, mid-performance, in front of a stunned crowd. She spent several days locked in a real jail cell, no special treatment given. She smiled wide for photographers on her way out the door, turning humiliation into publicity. But it was a true crime, with real handcuffs and a real judge, not a scene from any script. Number 15. Clara Bow Wild. Rumors of secret parties trailed her everywhere she went, following her from film set to film set. One trusted employee tried to blackmail her using shocking secrets from her most private life, threatening to expose everything. The explosive trial exposed everything to the public eye, stripping away her carefully built image. America's beloved it girl was slowly destroyed by a scandal she never truly escaped, even years later. Long after the headlines faded, but the damage remained. Number 14. John Barrymore. He was called the Great Profile for his stunning good looks, once considered the finest actor of his generation. Drunk nights slowly turned him into a completely different, frightening man, unrecognizable from the star audiences remembered. Police arrested him multiple times for public indecency in busy city streets, each incident more humiliating than the last. Fans covered their children's eyes as their once elegant idol stumbled through the gutter, fully disgraced, a tragic shell of the man he used to be. Number 13. Veronica Lake. Her peekaboo hairstyle was famous across the entire world, copied by women everywhere who wanted to look just like her. Later, alcohol slowly took over every part of her life, stealing away the career she had built. She was thrown out of bars for violent, screaming outbursts that shocked onlookers. She once smashed a glass across a crowded room in blind rage, frightening everyone nearby. The glamorous star had become a frightening stranger, even to herself, unrecognizable from the woman on the movie posters. Number 12. Spencer Tracy. Behind his calm, steady screen image was a violent secret hidden very well, guarded carefully by everyone around him. Hotel staff whispered quietly about smashed furniture and destroyed rooms left behind after his visits. Heavy drinking led to terrifying, unpredictable rages late at night, rages nobody dared speak about publicly. Studios paid hush money incredibly fast before reporters could smell the blood and broken glass on the floor, protecting his reputation at any cost. Number 11. Peter Lawford. He was tightly connected to Hollywood's most powerful families and politicians, moving effortlessly through circles of enormous influence. When Marilyn Monroe met her tragic end, Lawford was one of the very last people to see her alive, a fact that has haunted his legacy ever since. Many believe he quietly removed evidence to protect his powerful friends from scandal, acting fast before authorities arrived. The full, painful truth still hides deep in the shadows today, decades later, unresolved and endlessly debated. Number 10. Joan Crawford. Her adopted daughter wrote a book that shook the entire nation, revealing a side of her mother the public never imagined. She described violent beatings behind closed mansion doors, punishments that left lasting scars. She described real terror, living in a house built entirely on fame, where appearances mattered more than anything else. Mommy Dearest was not just a movie plot for entertainment, not just a dramatic story invented for shock value. Her own daughter swore it was her real, painful childhood, lived out behind closed gates. Number 9. Paul Bernjean Harlow's husband was found dead under deeply strange and confusing circumstances that were never fully explained. Rumors whispered of dark secrets, hidden violence, and unbearable shame leading to his tragic end, theories that multiplied with every passing year. The studio quietly rewrote the entire story overnight, controlling every detail released to the press. The full truth never left that quiet, locked bedroom door, sealed away along with whatever really happened that night. Number 8. Thomas Ince. Powerful producer Thomas Ince died suddenly aboard a private yacht owned by newspaper king William Randolph Hearst, a death that raised immediate suspicion. Dark whispers of gunfire followed him quietly to his early grave, rumors that refused to disappear over the decades. No real investigation was ever properly completed, no answers ever officially given. Hollywood's biggest cover-up still has absolutely no ending, even 100 years later, a mystery that continues to fascinate and disturb. Number 7. Busby Berkeley. Famous for dazzling, glittering dance numbers on the big screen, numbers that redefined what movie musicals could be, Berkeley was heavily intoxicated driving one dark night. His car smashed head-on into other vehicles on the road, causing devastating destruction. Innocent people died in the terrible wreckage, lives ended because of his reckless choice. He faced serious manslaughter charges not once, but 3 separate times, an almost unbelievable pattern. Somehow, he walked free every single time, his career largely untouched by the tragedy he caused. Number 6. Robert Mitchum. His tough guy image on screen was almost too real off camera, blurring the line between actor and man. Police raided a quiet home and found Mitchum with illegal substances nearby, catching him red-handed. Photographers snapped his mugshot while he calmly smiled for the camera, seemingly unbothered by the arrest. He went to jail for his crime, serving real time behind bars. His career, strangely enough, only grew bigger afterward, proof that scandal could sometimes fuel fame instead of destroying it. Number 5. Frank Sinatra. The voice was smooth as silk on every record, capable of moving audiences to tears with a single note. His friends, however, were not smooth at all, far from the polished image he projected. Reports linked Sinatra closely to organized crime figures, dangerous men known for violence and fear throughout the underworld. Witnesses say he used these dangerous connections to threaten enemies and silence anyone brave enough to speak against him, wielding fear as effectively as talent. Number 4. Lana Turner. Her daughter, just 14 years old, stabbed Turner's boyfriend to death inside their own home, a shocking moment that stunned the nation. Turner said it was done only to protect her from serious abuse she had endured for far too long. Courts eventually called it justified self-defense, closing the case despite public outrage. But newspapers screamed the shocking headline for months and months, refusing to let the story fade quietly. Blood stained the carpet. Fame stayed on the front page, turning private tragedy into public spectacle. Number 3. Charlie Chaplin. The world's most beloved silent clown, had a deeply shameful pattern that followed him throughout his career. Chaplin repeatedly pursued relationships with teenage girls, some barely older than children, a pattern many around him quietly ignored. A public paternity scandal exploded across every newspaper in America, impossible to hide any longer. The nation quickly turned on him, outraged by what had been revealed. He fled the entire country in complete disgrace, never fully returning to the place that had once adored him. Number 2. Errol Flynn. In 1943, Flynn stood trial for an unspeakable moment involving 2 underage girls, a case that captivated and horrified the public. Newspapers followed every single word of the trial closely, printing every detail for eager readers. He was eventually acquitted by the jury, walking free from the courtroom. But the damage stuck to his name forever, hidden quietly behind the popular phrase, "in like Flynn." a joke that carried a much darker meaning underneath. Number 1. Fatty Arbuckle had a wild hotel party filled with alcohol and laughter. An evening that started like any other celebration. Young actress Virginia Rappe suffered a horrifying, tragic end. Arbuckle was quickly blamed by the public and the press, tried in headlines before ever stepping into a courtroom. 3 separate trials followed, one after another, each one dragging his name further through the mud. He was finally acquitted of all charges, found innocent under the law. But his career, his good name, and his entire life were destroyed forever, ruined beyond any hope of repair. Hollywood's darkest scandal had no real winner at all, only broken lives left behind. 25 stars, 25 buried secrets. The studios knew everything happening behind closed doors, every ugly detail carefully hidden from the public eye. They hid these crimes carefully to protect their money and their image, treating scandal like a disease to be quarantined. They silenced innocent victims with cash and threats, ensuring silence at any cost. They erased the pain from every official record, rewriting history to suit their needs. Fame became a thick mask covering terrible, painful truths that few dared to expose. These stories were almost lost forever, buried under old film reels and yellowed newspapers nobody read anymore, forgotten by a world that moved on too quickly. But we found them again. Hollywood wanted this history forgotten completely. We remembered every single name. Subscribe for more hidden truth.